Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Dr. Red Bull. I haven't been on it for a while. I haven't done a video for a bit. There's a very good reason. I've been away for a while, so been travelling a bit, so I've kind of abandoned the channel for a good month or two. Well, not 2 months, it's about a month. And when I've been back for a couple of weeks now, but when I was going to come back, I was been meaning to do like reviews of Singapore, Italy, what else did I miss? Korea, Japan. And I've just never got around to it. I've only just settled since I've come back. I've had one or two things to sort out, so I haven't got my head around to doing these yet. And lo and behold, I'm back at it again, really up for it now. I'm still undecided whether I'm going to cover the races before the last 4 races, which I've missed. I haven't missed 4 races. Korea, Japan, Singapore, Monza, yeah, 4 races. I've missed 4 races. That's right. So I don't think I'm going to. Definitely, I'm not going to cover them. I might do a quick sort of run through, but knowing me, if I do that, I'll probably take an hour. So I think it's best if I leave it. What's that noise? Oh, it's my Facebook. So I think I'm going to leave it there. But before I get onto the subject of this video, which I'm going to talk about. I just want to I want to give a little hint what I'm up to with this channel. I'm gonna do like a proper like series and like investigate something. I'm really excited about it, and I hope you are too. It's something which I've been really researching and writing about. It's all basic stuff at the moment, so just getting a few bits together. But when I sit down and think, I made myself look like I was crazy. But when I sit down and think about stuff and what I'm going to talk about and write about, as well, I'm going to write it. There's going to be a written format for this. I'm quite positive about it and quite excited. Hopefully, I can transfer that into video and to written format, and it should. I think it should make some interesting media. I guess you could call it that. Yeah, I'm really excited, and it's going to. I don't think it will be next week. I'll still be researching next week. I've got work as well. I'm quite busy next week in terms of work, and then the week after that. So it'll probably be in 3 weeks' time. Probably the time, fingers crossed, when Vettel's won his title. I'll be really pushing this investigation, which I'm doing. I don't want to tell you what it is yet, but I'm gonna hold back for that, and then boom, the video. And it's just not going to be one video, it's going to be like 4 parts, I think. And they're going to like be around the same thing, but between the videos, for each video, sorry, there's going to be like a different sort of take on it. But I'm going to stop talking about it now, and because I don't want to ramble on too much about it, because I'm not going to reveal, so that's a bit unfair really, isn't it? So I want to go on to this video. What this video is about, the subject matter, and that's it's about the tyres for this year. And it's a reason why it's good to be a Red Bull fan. And that's not because the tyre change has favoured Red Bull. I'm not insinuating that. I'm on about how it's a good thing to be a Red Bull fan right now, because of something really good they've done, I think. And allow me to explain that. At the start of the season, Pirelli were asked to create these really frail sort of tyres. I'm not a boffin on this, but yeah, they wanted more stops. They wanted 3 stops, 2 stops. They wanted a mix of strategy, kind of like what we saw in Japan. And I think they really hit it on the nail on the head with that. Actually, the only thing they got messed up was the tyre failure with Lewis Hamilton. But anyway, slightly sidetracked. Yeah, from day one, Red Bull said about these tyres that they were a little bit too marginal, and believe it or not, if I take my Red Bull hat off and put it down, I would kind of agree with them, and that the racing has suffered as a result of it. You know, if you remember the Spanish Grand Prix, nobody had a clue what was going on. Malaysia. The tyres were that frail that you had 2 teams, like the top 4 teams, giving out team orders because they were scared witless about these tyres, so they effectively closed off the race. Of course, Vettel and Webber had different ideas. Sorry, that's the postman. Vettel and Webber had different ideas, but yeah, the tyres were that frail on edge that the racing suffered as a consequence. So we had like team orders issued. We had really confusing races like Singapore. We had sort of like really scatty sort of performances. So you would see like Vettel win and dominate Bahrain, and you would see Alonso dominate in China. You really had no sort of like a temperature of the opening 6 races of the season of where people are at. You know, I can, like, hindsight's a wonderful thing now, but I couldn't imagine Vettel being this far ahead in the championship if you had asked me that during Spain. So that's what the tyres did. They just created this paradox of confusion, and I thought the racing suffered because of it, and Red Bull said that. Even though, believe it or not, a lot of people are aware of this or tend to forget, Red Bull were on top of the tyre issue. Sure, they were probably the second worst team affected by the compounds this year. Mercedes, miles ahead of being the worst, to the extent they had to do a test. Yeah, so Red Bull were like on top of these tyre wear issues. They were just they were just getting on top of it, and they were leading both championships. They was leading a World Constructors Championship. They was leading a Drivers Championship. Everything is good. And then, like after Spain, Christian Horner came out and complained about it. So it was too marginal. I can't remember the interviews, the exact wording, but the essence of it was like, these were a little bit too on edge. That it's not good. It's not good for Formula One. And you always like question stuff in like Formula One, like the drivers, the team principals, or the spokesman, or the sidekick, or whatever. And you always got to be a bit cynical when people say, "Oh, we should do this for F1. We should bring refueling back. We should do this. We should do that. We should do this." And you always got to wonder whose interests do they have at heart. Is it for themselves, or is it for, or is it actually for the fans? And you got to be careful. There's a lot of skullduggery going on. Like most of the suggestions you hear, like the best example I can give is cost cutting. It's good, especially in the economic climate we're in, that we cut costs, and that should apply everywhere and to Formula One. And everyone's like, yeah, it's really good. That it will look good. It will set a good example to the world. And then it's not until like teams like Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren realise like, oh, hang on for a minute, the only reason why we're competitive is we're outspending Williams, Lotus, Caterham by times 10 or whatever. So it's a double-edged sword really. So like they can say it's really good morally, but then they realise if it affects their performance, they won't do anything. Now with the whole tyre issue with Red Bull, I thought this was an extremely unique situation in the sense that they were critical of the tyres. They complained about the tyres, saying that it was dangerous for the drivers, it was unsafe. We had tyre explosions. We had the numerous explosions in Silverstone, and you had like a blowout at pretty much every race weekend at the start. And then not only the tyres going off as well, and the fact that the drivers were only racing to like 60-70% of their abilities, so they weren't even going flat out. People were confused about who's racing who in the race. Red Bull were on top of it, and they were leading the championships, both championships. They were winning. They didn't get any blowouts on the tyres. They didn't get any tyre failures. That was Mercedes and Force India, McLaren, Ferrari had 1 or 2 slow punctures as well. So they was like doing okay with the tyres. You could say, you could argue. And then on top of that, performance-wise, they were top of both championships. Vettel had won 2 races. So, these tyres were good for Red Bull at the start. For sure, Ferrari and Force India, they definitely got an advantage at the tyres. I would say it was bigger than Red Bull's, but even still, Red Bull was still competitive on the tyres. It wasn't an issue. Unlike for some teams, so I'm referring to like Mercedes, McLaren, Sauber. No, I'm not too sure about Sauber. I can't remember the situation. Don't know why that popped into my head. So anyway, yeah, they was leading both championships. So, and when they came out and they were so vocal and criticising it, I thought it looked really good on the Red Bull team, and it made me really proud to be a Red Bull fan because it felt they had the interest of racing at heart. And then eventually they changed it and have kind of gone back to the 2012 construction. And there's been no blowouts. Driver safety's been better. Has the racing been better? That's debatable because of Vettel's wins, but you had some good races in Germany. You had a great race in Germany with Kimi and Vettel. I'm being put on the spot here trying to think of good races. Apart from Vettel running away with it a bit with the lead, you had some good battles in 7th, 4th, 5th, 8th or whatever, 3rd podium. And I don't think that would have been possible with the construction which we started off with, you know. Like, look at Korea. Look how close that was. Singapore, that was a good race in terms of like what's happening in the midfield. And I don't think that would have been feasible if it weren't on the previous compound. And I think that's a good credit to Red Bull because, you know, nothing's changed with them. You know, they're still top of both championships before and after the tyre change. And yeah, I thought that was a really good thing. It was really, you know, I thought they generally had racing, the interest of good racing and F1 at heart. I really did. I really do, should I say. And even now, Alonso's still coming because, like, you know, the tyres are still not perfect whatsoever. No, by no means perfect. But even Alonso's come out and said his tyres are, I don't know, what did he say? They weren't first class or something. They were like secondary or something like that. And basically, he was degrading them about the tyre compounds. And Christian Horner came out and said he completely backed him. And this was like the Ferrari driver. He's like, yeah, there was too marginal. He says he agreed with Alonso, and that's amazing, you know, because, you know, I understand the argument that you could say that the tyre change has kind of favoured Red Bull, but it's also favoured Mercedes in the sense that they've got stronger race pace, and that there was a time when the tyres didn't favour Red Bull for sure. So, like, you know, there were one or two tricky races for them. I'm thinking of Melbourne and Spain, and was Silverstone. Sorry, Korea was an issue for them. They had really high tyre deg then. So, you know, they did have their issues with the tyres, but mainly they did benefit from them, whether it was the first compound or the change compound. But, you know, they were still vocal about it because they had, and I know I said this a couple of times, but they had the interest of F1 at heart. And yeah, that really made me a good Red Bull fan, and it really made me really proud, to be honest. And there's not many stories which you can bang the drum about. Anyway, that's going to be the end of there, and yeah, I hope that's concluded. Golly gosh, that's a really long video. I hope I didn't look too tired in this. Didn't get much sleep last night. I didn't get in till late. So yeah. So yeah, anyway, what I'm talking about. Yeah. So hopefully I'll see you in a new video. Am I going to do a qualifying video or like a preview for India's not this weekend, right? No. So it'll be next weekend. I might do something for India, like a build up to it, a run up to it. I might do a little something, but I've always said that, haven't I? I've never done it. But anyway, please give the video a like, and I shall see you in a future video. Take care, guys, and sorry for being away for too long, but thankfully I'm back.